Welcome. I hope you can all hear me and see me. I'm actually on my iPhone because I left my iPod, my iPad somewhere else. So I'm very technophobic. I hope I'm not alone on this call. But welcome indeed to this, the 2022 annual Classics for All Teaching Awards. I say annual because last year we did actually inaugurate these awards. We did start them for the very first time and they went so well, we decided that we would do it again. Yes, prime ministers come and go, but the Classics for All Teaching Awards, I can confidently predict, is here to stay. And this occasion is a real highlight of our calendar because, of course, it celebrates the brilliant work that's done up and down the country, week in, week out, by our very dedicated, enthusiastic and talented teachers, some of whom are going to join us this evening to receive their very deserved awards. And Lidia, who is known to a lot of you and has recently joined the Board of Trustees, will conduct that awards ceremony. But before we do that, I'm going to talk just to give you a flavour of what it's like to encounter Classics for All in your journey through teenage years. I'm going to talk to one of our alumni, Luke Bateman. Luke, are you there?
Hi, nice to join you, Jimmy.
Hi, Luke. Hi, lovely to see you. Now, first of all, can I reveal that you just left Oxford? You've completed your course at Oxford, and you got your exam results yesterday. I'm on tenterhooks.
Well, Oxford's slightly better isn't as good at keeping to deadlines as it expects its students to be. So I only got them this morning. So you're finding out before my parents know.
Okay.
But I'm glad to say that I got a first-class degree in ancient modern history. So.
Oh, come on. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
What a way to start this. Oh, Luke, that is so brilliant. I'm so thrilled. So, well, I think Classics for All can just take full credit for that whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah, I bet
okay.
it turned up.
Good. I can feel the donations now just piling up as you speak. So listen, I'd like to know why. I know why I love classics, but I'm always intrigued when I meet a fellow classicist. Is why did it grab you?
Well,
how did it grab you?
My experience with the ancient world sort of started as a child, kind of 4 or 5 years old, with my parents. I'm from Lancashire in the northwest of the UK, and we used to go to Ribchester, where there are some wonderful Roman baths and a really great museum. I always enjoyed visits to it because I'd wander around looking at the baths, imagining all the various people who would have been there, like wearing togas and kilts and kind of the centurions rowing up the River Ribble. It really got my imagination going, and I kind of was fixed from that point onwards, imagining all the different people who would have experienced that space millennia earlier.
So how did you bump into Classics for All?
So after kind of those childhood experiences, the ancient world sort of hung in the back of my mind as something I was interested in until it got to choosing A-levels. And I applied to Blackpool Sixth Form, who offer Classical Civilizations Ancient History, which is taught there by Pete Wright, who's very much involved with Classics for All. And through him, I got involved with the network and kind of benefited from all the fantastic resources. But that was where my formal engagement with classics truly began.
And how did that work practically on a kind of day-to-day, week-to-week basis? What did it look like to you? What was it? What was the format?
So I was taught ancient history, so we would work through various periods. The first year was almost entirely on Rome. The second year was going over to Greece and looking at Peloponnesian Wars and Alexander the Great. And every so often I would have discussions with Pete about kind of the work he was doing across the college with Classics for All, bringing their resources in, referring us to the website, and also the work he was doing in local schools, teaching Latin. And in fact, my mum, who's a primary school teacher at a local school, got involved with Pete through me and ended up teaching some of her primary school kids Latin, which was quite exciting because they were certainly a school that had never had that experience before. So it kind of became a family business.
That is fantastic. And of course, one of our big thrusts of the next couple of years is to get into primary schools. And I sat in a classroom in Liverpool, where I'm from. In fact, where I'm speaking to you from now, I'm up here working. And we sat amongst 10-year-olds, and it was fantastic, great fun, and also incredibly moving. I mean, it was just, these children were just so engaged with, we were doing an etymology class. So it was all full of, what English words can you spot in this Latin words? And their eyes were lighting up at the connections that they were making. And it felt very alive as a lesson. So I think it's great that, that you've sown the seed up there. So I hear that you actually have taken to writing poetry.
Yeah, so I've always been interested in writing, but mostly short stories and longer fiction. Until I got into university, and I really got interested in poetry through the College Poetry Society. And as I was writing, I was kind of incorporating things I was learning in my degree into what I was writing. So kind of looking one day at ancient temples and then writing poetry about ancient temples and channeling these influences. And the more I thought about it, the more I read poetry widely, I saw how integral classics is not just to ancient poems, but also to a variety of modern poems, from kind of the Romantics all the way through to modern poets like Alice Oswald. So
you haven't spent any time writing a poem about a Grecian urn, because some bloke's already done that one.
Yeah, I thought that would be a bit derivative.
I think you're on losing. But you have got one for us today to kick us off with our awards ceremony, haven't you?
Yeah,
it's like a kind of. I know it's not a Pythian ode, I hope, because I had to study those at university. I found them really boring. So would you like to lead us in, and then Lidia will pick up the baton and take us through our awards ceremony. But Luke, honestly, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm so thrilled about your news this morning. Honestly, it's really made my day. So over to you, Luke Bateman, everybody.
Well, thank you very much, Jimmy. And yeah, for me, one of the great gifts of classics is its ability to instill us with empathy, not just for people who've lived thousands of years ago, but for each other and come to understand each other in new ways. And so the poem I'm going to share with you today is inspired by a 2nd century text by a writer called Lucian of Samosata, who was writing about a false prophet called Alexander, and was mocking the people who would travel from across the Mediterranean to his temple to receive prophecies. And he referred to these people as wonder-struck in advance, kind of expecting to receive something magical, and thus being happy with whatever they got. When I read this, I was like, I want to try and get into the headspace and empathize with ancient pilgrims and try to understand that, even though I'm obviously not an ancient pilgrim. And so the poem is called Wonder-Struck in Advance, and it goes like this. Cast like dice across wine-coloured seas, you whisper please to cloud-gatherer and earth-shaker alike. Sand-footed through heaving forum, you flinch at amulets rattle and auguries stink. Beneath blistering sun, those rumour-rampant cues wind like the coils of the snake god you've heard pilgrims extol. With mangled tongue and bowed head, you relay to acolytes the heart-harboured concerns that have carried you this far. Then, under earth, in the dark, cold womb foreseeing, every prophecy rings true, loud in the singular respite before the long voyage home. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. And over to you, Lidia.
Thank you, Luke, for taking us on a pilgrimage. Hello, everybody. My name is Lidia Kuhivchak. I am honoured to be helping to our teaching awards today. I am a trustee of Classics for All, and I teach Latin at Brookmead Academy in Leicester. The point of these awards is to recognise the outstanding achievements of our hardworking schools and network coordinators, particularly as we come to the end of a challenging year, with schools still recovering from the impact of the pandemic, and we think it's really important to celebrate the superhuman efforts of schools to keep classical hearts beating. We have limited awards today to 15 schools. Each of them has been nominated by our regional network coordinators from Scotland all the way down to Cornwall. But for each award winner, there are 20 more which deserve recognition, so decisions have been really tough. We extend congratulations to part of the Classics family. We're going to begin with primary schools before an entertaining interlude courtesy of Pollen Honey before moving on to secondaries. Before we start, I'd really like to thank our regional network coordinators from across the country, without whom a lot wouldn't happen. They support and facilitate work all over the place. It was really competitive, the field for tonight. So we'd really like to thank everybody who's been involved with their contribution in whatever way to widening access across state schools. And we really hope you enjoy hearing the stories of the people we're going to share tonight. I'm going to start with our first primary school. Our first primary school is St John's Catholic Primary School as part of the Blackpool network. We are in particular nominating Teresa Donnelly, who's been an energetic advocate of classics at St John's since the launch of the Blackpool Hub. And Latin is now the principal language learned from years 3 to 6. The results are really striking. Children's confidence has been soaring, and it has noticeably improved their oracy skills as well as their academic development. St John's has been a real ambassador for classics in Blackpool, enabling more and more young people to reap the benefits of the ancient world. Well done to St John's Catholic Primary School and to Teresa Donnelly.
Hello, thank you very much. It's just such an honour and a privilege to be here tonight. I just want to say about the impact on the children, how incredible it is when we started Latin, how much they love it and how enthusiastic they are. And they just love the etymology. And I've just got a couple of quotes. Grace, who's 10, says, "If you know Latin, you can often work out the meaning of the English word. So when I'm watching University Challenge when I'm older, hopefully Latin will help me get the answers." And then from Charlie, "It's a challenge, but you feel so proud of yourself, especially when people say how amazed they are when they watch our Latin plays." And we'd just like to say a big thank you to Classics for All, because it's your resources that are helping our children immensely on their journey through life. And you're inspiring in them just a love of language and communication. So thank you very much.
That's lovely to hear. Thank you, Teresa. Really nice to hear that from the students as well. Our second school is Hillcrest Primary School, which is part of the Devon and Cornwall network. This school has been nominated by our coordinator, Mike Beer. It's a school in Bristol. Don't blame Mike, he does teach classics, not geography. And Helen Wilson from Hillcrest Primary has proven to be one of the most enthusiastic and dedicated Latin trainees we've had the pleasure to train. She's totally committed to introducing Latin on curriculum time. She's worked tirelessly from scratch to grow her knowledge of Latin to provide the best teaching that she can. It's wonderful to see such energy and enthusiasm, which is doubtless paying off in lessons. The pupils of Hillcrest have struck gold with Miss Wilson as their Latin teacher. Well done to Hillcrest Primary School. Helen, would you like to say a few words?
Hello, yes, thank you. It's an absolute honour and a surprise to be nominated for this award, especially as this time last year I couldn't even speak Latin. I'd never studied it, never mind teach it. But the Classics for All team, and especially Mike Beer, have made it really easy to pick up the maximum course and to run with it. It's a joy to see the children get excited about etymology and their links between Latin and English and other languages. And even in a recent Ofsted visit, the inspector commented that it was good to see references to Latin in other curriculum areas such as history and geography. So I'm enjoying seeing an increasing improvement in the children's grammar and their spelling too. So not only is Latin a great foundation from which to learn many other languages, it's also useful for building English skills. So we say in our classroom, if you know your spag, you'll get your Latin in the bag. So thanks again for the nomination.
I love that. That's great. Thank you so much. Our third school is King's Heath Primary School, which is part of the Leicester network. Led by head teacher Kim Duff, King's Heath Primary Academy is eagerly flying the flag for Latin in the centre of Northampton, and so they should. Part of the David Ross Education Trust, King's Heath has introduced Latin to pupils throughout Key Stage 2, proving extremely popular with parents and children. In fact, the school is so committed to their classical curriculum that they offered up Latin as a subject of a deep dive in a recent Ofsted inspection. Very brave. Those are largely uncharted waters for Latin at state primary schools, and Kim has shared her experience with this to help other schools across the country thoroughly wow Ofsted inspectors with their classics teaching. In fact, They really needn't look any further than the concise summary of one Year 5 pupil. Latin is fun and it helps me learn more things. Bravo. Kim, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, thank you ever so much. Just as the previous school said, we were deeply surprised but incredibly honoured to have been nominated for this award and to be here tonight. We're really, really thrilled. The support we've had through everybody in supporting us introduce Latin to our curriculum has been second to none, and without that appropriate challenge, superb resources and guidance when needed in terms of visiting other schools as well, we would not be here today. So thank you. And from our children adore their Latin lessons, and they really do look forward to it. They have a great time, and their thirst for learning where language stems from is palpable. So thank you to you all.
Lovely to hear. Thank you, Kim. Our fourth school is St Luke's Church of England Primary School, part of the London and South East network. In London, St Luke's Primary has been teaching Latin instead of a model language since September 2019. Remarkably, they managed to keep classes going even throughout lockdown, an outstanding achievement for a subject that many schools did have to put to one side at the time. To quote head teacher Gareth Dutton, Latin teaching in the school is thoroughly embedded and children love their weekly language lessons. Latin is perfect for us, as it helps the children hone their grammar and vocabulary skills and underpins many other languages pupils will encounter at secondary school. Well done to all the teachers at St Luke's for your commitment and enthusiasm for delivering Latin.
Hi there, good evening everyone. Yeah, thank you very much for that, Lydia, and like everyone else, I'm kind of shocked to be nominated, not me, the school. I guess I would like to credit one of our local schools actually, because they pinched our French teacher, and that gave us that opportunity to have a look at all the other languages, and it really for us was a very quick decision to switch to Latin. You know, when one door closes, another one opens up, and we've been open to Latin and we've never looked back. I've had the pleasure of learning Latin when I was younger, and for me it's such a real treat to see the pupils at St Luke's learn this language and enjoy it as much as I did. And children love it. They really do love it. They think it's a real plus for them. It's different. It's a new subject. Well, it's not a new subject. It's a very old subject, but they love it because a lot of their friends at other schools don't love it. Don't learn it. So for us, it's a fantastic plus for us at our school, and it's really challenging as well. The children really do like the challenge of working out the language skills. So for us, we really enjoy it, and we really enjoyed it during lockdown as well, where I know that lots of children, that was their favourite part of their week. So yes, thank you very much, and on behalf of the school, yeah, really pleased, and yeah, very happy. And thank you so much to Claps for All for not only the financial support that you've given the school, all the help with training and all the teaching materials that you've made available to St Luke's. I know that we continue to benefit from that on a daily basis. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, and so impressive to hear how you kept it going through lockdown. It's clear it's something that kids really, really see as part of their school, and that's exactly what Classics for All really want to engender. Right, moving on to our next school. We have Stanley Road Primary School, which is part of the Manchester and Leeds network. So we're going up north to Oldham, where Deputy Head Andrew Percival has overseen a bold move away from teaching Spanish, as the language wasn't working for teachers or pupils. Starting in 2019, and undeterred again by the pandemic, the school has trained 4 teachers to deliver Latin instead of Spanish using the Minimus course. Pupils are delighted with their new subject, and the teachers are enjoying teaching Latin, and they are also acting as ambassadors by actively promoting it to other schools in the area and online. Well done, Stanley Road Primary School.
Hello, thank you very much. As with everyone else, it's brilliant to be here, and we're really pleased as a school to receive this award. Classics teaching is such an important part of our curriculum at Stanley Road and sort of our identity as a school. Although we're in an area of high social deprivation, we want to show that our pupils can achieve in a subject like Latin, which some might consider to be an elitist subject, but they can achieve just as well as pupils from any background, no matter what their advantage, really. So mine's short and sweet. I just want to say thank you very much for all the support that we've had from Classics for All, and obviously all those people who donate to Classics for All, because we couldn't have achieved this without you and that support, and it's making such a huge difference to the life chances of our pupils. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. It's lovely to hear how successful it's been. We are moving on to our 6th and final primary school of the night. We have Shinfield St Mary's Church of England Junior School, part of the Oxfordshire, Berkshire, Buckinghamshire network. And at the height of lockdown in May 2020, St Mary's was the first school that the network trained online. From the first, it was clear staff were up for the challenge. One teacher, I love this, even donned toga and laurel wreath for the occasion. Ably led by Liz Gampatzing and with strong support from head teacher Sue Lawrence, the whole staff trained to deliver Latin from years 3 to 6. 2 years on, lessons are going strong, and Liz is now mentoring teachers at another nearby primary school who started Latin in September 2021. Long may Latin continue at St Mary's.
Hi, thank you. Like everyone else, it's a bit of a shock, a real surprise. We've absolutely been loving teaching Latin at Shinfield. As Lydia said, we started during lockdown. We had fantastic training for our entire staff from Linda, and it really enthused people. I was the only teacher in the school who'd actually learnt Latin as a child and enjoyed it. Most people had either not done it or absolutely hated it, whereas now most people are teaching it, enjoying it. The children are loving it. We're a really diverse school on the outskirts of Reading, and children are making links not just to English, but to all the other languages that they speak at home, really enjoying it. We're finding it links beautifully across the curriculum, particularly in year 4, where we do loads of work on Romans. Children are absolutely loving it. Parents are really enthusiastic because they see that this is something that they get, that only the only other school near us that does it is the local private school. So we've had a lot of positive support from both the teachers in the school and from the parents as well. So thank you very much. Thank you for the support you gave us, because that's enabled us to buy the minimus books that we needed. And also thank you to Annabelle, who I think it is, who's made all the PowerPoints that we've been using. So it's really enabled staff who didn't have the confidence to go ahead and teach it because they've had these PowerPoints. So thank you particularly to Anna as well. Thanks.
Wonderful. Lovely to hear the thread of real love that is coming through all of the primaries tonight. Really, really heartening. Right, I'm now going to hand over to Jimmy, who is going to take us through a short interlude.
If Jimmy can get the technology to work, there we go. I'm back. Yes, that was great. In fact, the word I think I heard used most was enthusiasm and enthusiastic, which of course, as you know, if you break it down, means to be filled with spirit, or for the more religious-minded, God. I don't know how to link from that into my guest, who's come along to speak to us tonight, and we're thrilled to have him. It's Paul. And I hope I got your name right, Paul Omani. He's an actor, he's a writer, he's a director, and he runs a theatre company called Out of Chaos, which creates innovative and thoughtful responses to ancient text. Isn't that right, Paul?
That is right. And do you know what? You did a great job with my surname as well. So
okay, well, I am
great.
kind of, my family came over with the last potato in 1845. So there's a kind of resonance there. But it says here that you create innovative and thoughtful responses to ancient texts, which does sound a bit dull. So tell me, how do you do that then? What does that really mean for you?
Well, it kind of means that, I mean, we make loads of different shows, and an awful lot of them are just inspired by ancient stories. And some of those have then taken loads of different forms. So we've created multilingual versions of stories, working with Japanese, Danish, Spanish, French actors. And then we've also created a show called Unmythable, which tells all of the Greek myths in an hour with just 3 actors and a load of songs.
Wow.
and we just keep coming back to these stories and these plays because they just always are so inspiring, and they just keep telling us things about our lives today. And I think, you know, it was something that Luke was talking about, where, you know, he was talking about sort of how it kind of teaches you, sort of, you know, encourages empathy, let's say, within you. And I think there's something amazing about discovering that these stories just over and over again just say something to us and speak to what's going on in our lives at the moment. And that there's something that's kind of amazing. There's something that's a bit depressing sometimes about that, but there's something that's really, I think, wonderful about connecting with the past in that way.
And you came to this. Did you do Latin at school, or were the seeds sown early on in your life? Or how did this?
Yeah.
How did this kind of inspiration rise up within you?
I'd always kind of really loved these stories when I was younger. So, I mean, just so Jimmy, like you, so I come from an Irish Catholic family. My Irish Catholic family came over about a century or so after yours.
Right.
So, and I think that with that, and I think, you know, and I suppose all people from wherever they're from kind of feel like a sense of, oh, we tell loads of stories and we like, you know, but there's like a lot of sort of storytelling, a lot of interest in the past. And I'd always loved these stories. And I did Latin at school, and I'd read also, kind of separate to that, I'd read some Greek things sort of in English. And that kind of encouraged me to then go to, you know, sort of want to kind of pursue that further, essentially. And so I sort of wanted to sort of like learn Greek so that I could, which I sort of did as a student at university, and then could sort of start to kind of explore these plays even more. But it was always the stories. It was that was the starting point for me, the real hook. And then more recently, sort of then with this, you know, over the last few years, when obviously, you know, we're a touring theatre company, and we, you know, we're always just out on the road, and that's how we kind of connect with people, and how we, you know, and that's how we make a living as well. And then suddenly that all kind of disappeared from us, you know, as when COVID struck in 2020.
Sure.
And then with that, then we decided that, you know, we were sort of stuck at home, so we started to create an online series. We thought, you know, the world wasn't suffering enough, so we will now start doing some Greek tragedy online to add in.
Great.
And we sort of felt that it was one of those situations where we were all stuck at home, and actually suddenly working with someone who was on the other side of the world was just as easy as working with your next door neighbour. So we started sort of like very, very sort of on a very small scale, sort of just with a few friends. I called them up, and I organised with the Centre for Hellenic Studies that we would sort of just, let's do a play reading and see how it goes online. And we did that the next day. And then we decided, oh, let's just do it every week and see how it goes for a while. And so we started doing that every week. And over the course of 40 weeks in 2020, then from the end of March up until Christmas, pretty much, we did a different Greek tragedy every week online.
Wow.
And we covered every extant Greek tragedy, plus a bit of Homer, plus some comedies. And we had an international cast. We had 120 actors involved across the whole project. And it was a mixture of performance and then discussion about that, and talk about sort of some academics coming on and explaining some things, and then talking with the actors about the process of sort of how they get into character and think about these people. And we had a rock opera of Cyclops, we had a musical version of the Black Eye, and all sorts of things kind of going on. And it was really amazing, because every single time it felt like every week we had specifically chosen the play that week, because we knew what was going to be going on in the world that time. Because every single week it said something about what was going on, whether that was to do with leadership, whether that was to do with Black Lives Matter, whether that was to do with pandemics, even anything around that. Everything kind of seemed to just come up within the plays that we were doing each time. And we also, go on, sorry, jump on.
No, go on.
Going on. No, I was going to say that, because also then what we wanted to do as part of that, all the work that I've always done has always been trying to then get as many people involved as possible. And so we launched a competition called Playing Medea. This was a couple of years ago, where then we said, okay, we're doing some stuff. Now you at home can try some. So we organised competitions in the UK, the US, Canada, Greece, Italy, where students could get involved we would select some scenes and say, look, pick a scene, record it, send it to us, and the winners, you know, in true Greek theatre style, the winners will get some money, get some hard cash. And we had 841 students from these countries who sent us videos. And it was totally, you know, brilliant and wonderful. And I'm really excited to say that coming up next term, we're going to be teaming up with Classics for All and launching Playing Dionysus, which is now a similar idea to what we're doing with Play Medea, but this time it's the Bacchae, so very family friendly.
Wow.
And,
okay.
You know, tear apart some relatives, have a great time.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We've all had family lunches like that.
We've all wanted to do that to our relatives, especially
Yeah.
around the Christmas period.
Yeah, exactly. Especially around lockdown, you know, it all happened.
What, you know, just listening to you and just seeing the kind of just the passion and the enthusiasm in your face. And then you hear people going around saying that classics is a dead subject, classics is an elitist subject. Trying to box classics into a kind of sarcophagus, if you like, doesn't make any sense, does it? How, like you're saying, these stories are eternal. The myths actually are within us, and the stories just evoke a resonance from with us. We find clues of how to live in these stories, and what a brilliant thing to bring to the world during a period of lockdown. And I'm glad that you're continuing it. I mean, I think that's the great thing about the technology. You know, I love the idea that the cutting edge technology of the 21st century is enabling classics to go global.
Yeah. And I think, Jimmy, that's the thing as well, right? Is that these stories, they're ours. They're not some sacrosanct thing that we can't sort of, you know, that have to be put on a pedestal. Actually, that like they're about our emotions. They're about things that we all go through, and actually we can tell them, we can retell them, we can imagine them in our lives, and they're not something that's separate to us. And I'll say something just really quickly because I know there's much more to come. I'll give you an example that, well, so working on this project, I ended up meeting loads of academics from around the world online. One of them is from the University of Illinois, and I've been working with her. Her name's Angeliki Zanetu, and where she's based in Illinois is in Urbana-Champaign, and they've had a huge issue, sadly, over the last recent years with gun violence in their community. And in March, after a period of working with the community online, I went over and we're working with people within the community as well, working with high school age students from all across the different parts of Urbana-Champaign, and bringing them together to work on a play called Extigony, which is a version of Antigone written by Nambi E. Kelly. It reimagines the play in Chicago, and it's about gun violence specifically. And we brought these kids together who didn't know each other beforehand, and they worked on this play and explored the themes of it, thought about the connections with the past, and that amazing feeling of kind of knowing that other people have thought about these things a long, long time ago, I think is something that's very, very powerful. And then we presented it in front of an audience that was just open to the whole community, and we had legislators, we had just people who were affected by gun violence within there, and then we just opened it up to a discussion afterwards, and it just opened up like a floodgate of discussion and passion and ideas about what the play was about, and about future steps that people could take, and how projects can also bring people together and start to raise really important issues. And I think that's an example of how these stories are not sort of like, they don't just have to be done a certain way. Actually, they're ours to play with.
Yeah, and they cut through all that kind of prejudice, and you're right, that coming together to work on a project and then talking about the ideas, you stop thinking about the otherness of the other, and you're just in it together. It's honestly, I could listen to you for hours, Paul. I really could. It's really wonderful to hear someone so articulate and so passionate, and also just, you know, taking ancient texts and making them more than relevant to the modern day. But of course, you know, that's what artists do, and more power to your elbow. Now we're going to see a clip, aren't we, of your work to lead us into the next section, which Lidia will pick up on after the clip. So before we do, I just want to thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to the Dionysus project a lot. Thank you,
Jimmy. Thank you.
have yet to pay the price, but you will, like a man stumbling into foul bilge water, or swept from shore and drowning in the undertow. As the waves cover your head, you'll see how your life is just a loan that's come due. Death is the payment the gods demand.
My destiny. From the start, you brought me forth to sorrow and suffering if any man never was. Even before I came into the light from my mother's womb, Apollo had declared to Laius that still unborn, I would become my father's murderer.
In my judgment, this man's death was no more squalid than was fitting. It's right that he has perished through deception, since he ruined this whole family with deception. Yes, the darling that I bore him, dearly wept Iphigenia. He, her father, made his victim. Now he suffered suitably to match his actions. He will have no cause to bluster down in Hades. Now he's paid by fatal sword stroke.
What light, what brilliance the sun conveyed, and moon bright in the sky, where swift stars shoot through the dark, when at my wedding the town of Argos towered up in songs and blessings, and praised the bridegroom Capaneus, armed in bronze. To you I have come rushing like a bacchant from my home, seeking the pyre's flame in the same tomb, and death to my painful end, and the sadness of living. Sweetness is this death, to die with my dead lover, if destiny will allow it.
Who's taking me up from hell? Some God making me look at the upper world again. This is where I serve my son up as a feast for the gods, to test their wisdom. Is this some new punishment for that? Something worse than being permanently parched, rooted to the spot in a river of water that runs off when I try to drink? Worse than starving beneath branches of fruit that are snatched away out of my reach.
Thank you, Paul, for the reminder that there are plenty of free resources also for teachers available online, which you can see in the chat. And this brings us to the next part of our ceremony with secondary schools. So starting off, oh, screen sharing has failed, it says. Please try again later. That's no good. Let's try again. Later being now. There we go. Otherwise, I shall just extemporize and you'll have to imagine the photos. There we go. Looking good now. Right, kicking off with secondary school number 1, Aldridge School in the Birmingham network. Classics for All began working with Aldridge School all the way back in 2018 to support the introduction of the GCSE in ancient history, which was spearheaded by the tireless efforts of teacher Anna Rakovic. Ancient history at Aldridge has blossomed. Pupils now can study ancient history all the way from Key Stage 3 to Key Stage 5. Beyond the classroom, Anna has contributed enormously to growing ancient history across the country. She has helped to produce free online classroom resources to bring the subject to pupils at Key Stage 3, and she's led numerous training sessions for teachers, including Classics for All's own summer school at Harrow. Diversity and inclusivity are high on Anna's agenda. She's organised and chaired a panel on decentering the canon, hosted by the Institute of Classical Studies, and she's also recently completed a master's with a dissertation that examined the impact of teaching the ancient Middle East on Muslim students. It really is teachers like Anna at Aldridge that make the privileged stereotype of classics, shall we say, ancient history. Well done, Anna.
Hi, thank you. I've tried to turn on my camera, Lydia, but I can't, so please enjoy my dulcet tones. I'm incredibly chuffed, genuinely so excited and touched when I got the email and I got the information about this, and I'm so pleased that we teach ancient history. It has such a massively positive impact on our students, and I think it's incredibly telling that of the 2 ancient history GCSE classes we have versus the 5 history GCSE classes we have in year 10, our 2 ancient history classes are proportionally far more diverse than their history equivalents, and we have particularly a wide selection of Muslim Pakistani lads who there's a lot of elements of school that they can struggle with and that they can behaviour issues, but ancient history just switches them on. They are engaged and enthusiastic and encouraged, and when we're teaching them, it does not feel like a dead and privileged subject. It feels live and exciting and enthusiastic, and I look at them and I think that's the next generation. I really genuinely do. But thank you for Classics for All, who have funded trips for us. The Birmingham regional office has been huge. The pictures you can see on the screen now are us visiting. My 6th form is visiting the study day. Couldn't have done it without Classics for All, and won't be able to continue to do without them. So thank you, everyone. It's so nice to be here today. Thank you so much.
Well done, Emma. Long may that continue. Our 8th school of the night is Riding School in 6th form from the Bristol network. The network has nominated Riding School, in particular Lucy Roberts, for her dogged efforts to sustain classics in the face of adversity. The pressures of the pandemic did unfortunately force classics off timetable. However, Lucy refused to abandon the cause. She responded by setting up a classics club, a brave undertaking in light of the pressures on teachers across the country at the time. Lucy has proven herself an invaluable asset to the Bristol hub. She's often donated her time to speak as an advocate for classics at local events, and she's provided instrumental support for the network's Ovid in the West Country competition, which challenges pupils to produce a creative response to the myths in Ovid's metamorphoses. Well done, Lucy.
Thank you so much. You know, we're really surprised and delighted and absolutely honoured to have been recognised for this. And I have to say, the support from Classics for All has been absolutely phenomenal. I would actually like to give a big shout out to Lizzie, who I feel I can ask any stupid question. I can ask her what she thinks about things. I always have a really lovely response from her. So that's, you know, that's been huge for us. Latin and Classics is now embedded in our Key Stage 3 curriculum, you know, which we've kind of achieved over the last few years, which I feel actually very proud of that we've managed to do that. We often use Latin now to kind of, you know, advertise our school. When we have our taster days, that's often something that children will feel is the favourite part of their taster day. So that's, you know, that's really affirming. And we also now have a project-based classics club. And just to kind of add to what other people have said, I think my background is not classics, but I'd like to say that since being involved with Classics for All, and since kind of, you know, being part of installing Latin and Classics at Wyding, I've actually completed an MA myself with the guise of, you know, modelling lifelong learning. So, you know, I'd like to think that the children that we reach with Latin and Classics will kind of see that as something that they can take, you know, further in their lives and as being an option. So thank you so much.
I'm sure you'll continue to inspire them. Okay, we are moving back down further south to Chesterton Community College, part of our East of England network. And Chesterton Community College has a truly comprehensive intake. I've got a lovely statistic here. 90 languages are spoken across the school, and upwards of 25% of pupils come from homes where English is not their first language. The students have been guided by Catherine Russell, and Classics has continued to expand across the school. Latin is offered to all Year 7s with the option to continue to GCSE. Classical Civilization is also taught at Key Stage 3, and that continues to GCSE with the A-level available from September. With help from Angela Dix and our East of England network, Chesterton have joined the fight to keep ancient Greek alive in state schools as well. They've established a Greek club to take pupils from beginner to GCSE Greek with aspirations towards A-level in the future. Chesterton have also supported the introduction of classics into other schools in their Academy Trust, and they're staunch supporters of classics teaching across the region, regularly entering local competitions and local events. Well done to Chesterton Community College.
Hi, thank you very much. It's really fantastic for Chesterton Classics to be recognised in this way by Classics for All. Really touched. At Chesterton, we focus on stories in our approach, and these are, I think, what do most of the work for us, and that have led to this kind of burgeoning of classics, Greek and Latin at the school. And these stories are what keeps those real lower attainers engaged and confident in their learning at the school. So we can thank Kronos, who's the one who gets them engaged in their very first lesson, and then Hercules, Oedipus and Athena. They're the ones that carry them through really all the way, hopefully, to A-level. Well, hopefully. But we are seeing a real continuation of those students who struggle with school in general, carrying on to do classics as one of their options at GCSE. So we're really thrilled about that. And we're very grateful for the support we've had from Angela and Arlene Holmes Henderson and others who have helped us get things off the ground with lots of support. So thank you to Classics for All, and thank you to the Greeks and Romans for their endless mythic cycles.
Oh man, we all love the stories, don't we? We're all in it for the stories. Okay, our next school is going back up north to North Liverpool Academy, part of the Liverpool network, which appeared on Classics for All's radar last year. Driven by the enthusiasm of Executive Principal Phil Lloyd and Ian Mooney, the strategic lead on partnerships and assessment, all Year 7 English teachers received training to teach the myths of Ovid during English lessons. When asked what next, we suggested Ian ask if any teachers already had some Latin, and we were blown away to discover over 10 teachers had experience from GCSE to A-level, and even one University Classics graduate thrown in for good measure. Latin launched a Classics Club for Key Stage 3 pupils, and it offers the Cambridge Latin course to high attainers. Plans are in place for students to work towards a GCSE and for Latin to be offered to all students, as well as introducing GCSE classical civilization. In an area of disadvantage, with over 50% of pupils eligible for pupil premium, we feel that North Liverpool Academy really are proving that classics can be for all. So well done, North Liverpool Academy.
Hi, thank you for that. Can you hear me, Lydia?
Yep, loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm just so delighted for this award for the students, actually. One of our programs is raising vocabulary and the love of reading, and the stories, as has already been mentioned, is one of the things that brings these students back all the time. So we did the Ovid competition, and then we started classics and then Latin. We're actually moving on to do classical civilization GCSE from September as well. And the teachers, I'd like to mention three in particular: Kelly, Bria and Lauren, who are the stalwarts of our Latin teaching. They teach that after school. So when their normal day is done, they then run lessons in Latin for the students. And classical civilization, we have some other teachers who are offering to do that as a lesson 6 as well. So the staff and the students are all buying into this completely. Can I also just thank Alice at Classics for All, who has kept us going all the way through and has also helped us, Classics for All have helped us financially, and also Liverpool University Classics Department, who've been wonderful friends to us. And that picture on the screen is actually a little known museum at the university with the students on a visit there. And on Monday, we're all off to Hadrian's Wall. And just to finish, one boy said to me, I asked one boy if he was going, and he said, I wasn't going to miss that. So they are buying into it big time. So thank you, everybody, for your help and support in getting this off the ground.
That's so lovely to hear, and good luck with Hadrian's Wall. That sounds amazing. Send us photos. Right, our next school is Pollen School, part of the Northeast Network. It's an all-through school in Darlington with students aged 5 to 16. And Latin was introduced to the younger pupils at primary level in 2019 with resounding success. And despite joining the school after the Latin training had taken place, the current lead, Emma Jo Blundy, has thrown herself into the project and has kicked things up a notch. She organised a fantastic Roman day in summer 2021 to relaunch Latin after COVID put teaching on ice, and she re-enthused staff and pupils and got local press coverage. This year, she's been banging on our door with requests to retrain staff to make sure Latin is on the agenda, both in the juniors and with the college principal. Emma Jo has faced something of an uphill struggle making Latin work for the school, but she's never once let it get the better of her. She's always present at online events and networking with other schools in the region. And most recently, Emma Jo has trained to deliver an ancient Greek club for pupils who still can't get enough classics. Well done, Emma Jo.
Thank you ever so much, and thank you for the nomination as well. We really love Latin, and we've enjoyed the Greek as well at Pollen School. We found that for our children, it's something that children from every background and of every ability are able to access and enjoy and feel like they can achieve with. So it's something that we see the children flourishing in. They really enjoy finding those links within other subjects as well and finding root words. And we've got a nice buzz within the school with them really, really getting involved and enjoying the teaching of Latin. And hopefully we're going to be also going on to do that in the senior school as well. But we want to say thank you for all of the support that we've had, and we really do appreciate it.
Fab news that you've managed to get it into the rest of school. And I just want to say the photos are particularly good. You can really feel the enthusiasm coming through in their faces. Really lovely. Okay, we are now going further north to Mackey Academy, which is part of our Scotland network. And we have Lucy Angel, the model of what is needed for the future of classics in Scotland's state schools. She's committed herself and her school to building classics into the fabric of teaching at Mackey. From a standing start, she nurtured a flame through classics clubs, spreading towards classroom time, and finally into a fully certified subject option. No mean feat. She's so driven that she studied in her own time to gain the necessary qualification in classical studies required to be recognised as a fully fledged classics teacher in Scotland. In an education environment which is not sympathetic to classics, Lucy and Mackey Academy are a beacon of hope for the ancient world in Scotland.
Hi everyone from the north of Scotland. Thank you so much for this award on behalf of Mackey Academy. Without Classics for All, I simply wouldn't be teaching classics. Classics for All part funded my qualification, and then also provided grants for materials and wonderful support from Alex Imrie, who is your Scotland coordinator. I really wouldn't have managed to do it without him. And as you mentioned, in terms of impact, we've been able to go from a state school that had no history of classical subjects to having over 60 certificated pupils over the past few years, and with a kind of context of COVID, and I was also on maternity leave as well. It was a challenge, but I can only see things going from strength to strength. in the future. We've already got some pupils who are hoping to study classics at university, and we've never had a single pupil do classics at university. So I see that as a success story. And I've also had the opportunity, which has been great, to support some of the other local schools in the area who have heard what we've been doing and are interested in introducing classics themselves. So it's something I'm excited to see grow in the future. And thanks again.
I think for a lot of us, the thought of a school going from no classics at all to having so many options available for students, that's really, you know, what we're all about as a charity. And it's particularly hard when you're not in an area with lots of schools doing the same thing as you. So well done, Mackie Academy, really good work. And now moving across to Wales. Like Scotland, classics in Wales has faced some unique challenges with competing space in the Welsh curriculum, and it has required teachers to go above and beyond the call of duty to get classics onto the curriculum. And in 2020, our Welsh network had a brief hiatus. However, Danny Pucknell reached out last year, and he offered to stoke the fires and get the wheels turning again. So not only has Danny set up a vibrant classics department from scratch at his school, Cardiff and Vale College, but his passion and commitment has jump-started classics in general in Wales as well. Danny's really been instrumental in reviving the Welsh Hub, and along with coordinator Lee Rowan Herring, they are growing the network and training new teachers, which is a really exciting time for Classics for All. So bravo, Danny, thank you.
Thank you. You know, I'm delighted that we were nominated, and you know, obviously delighted to be here. For me, and I think you know, Paul and Luke and Jimmy, they all talked about the same thing, which is the passion, and that's come through with everybody here. And I think that when I teach my A-level class, they'd laugh at me if they were here, but I always talk about the human condition and the way that it's the human condition that draws people into the narrative. You know, they'll boo Cicero, they'll cheer Sulla, or whatever it might be. You know, and it's the fact that sort of human beings, although the situation is different, the emotions are the same, and you know, we feel as they feel, and we might do as they do, and I think that's what drives, as you say, the numbers. You know, like everybody talked about the numbers growing because the subject is transferable. You know, it is the subject of humanity, if you like. So I think that's what makes it special, and that's what means that we have to continue to work at it, like we all do, to get more people involved and to get more people interested. So you know, we've started classics, we're now doing ancient history, and you know, I will do it for as long as they have me. They'll have to cart me out in a box. You know, I love doing it, so you know, I'll continue to do it for as long as I can. So thank you very much.
Hopefully it'll be a long time before they cart you out in the box.
I hope so.
They can classics go. Lovely, thank you. Okay, our 14th school is back down in Warwickshire. We have Bars Hill School and Community College, part of our Warwick Classics network. And since the foundation of that network in 2018, Cassidy Phillips at Bars Hill has been an inspiration in her devotion to bringing the ancient world alive for the pupils in this inner city Coventry school. In 2018, she embedded the teaching of the ancient world in classrooms for every pupil in Year 7, and in 2020 extended that to Year 8 as well. In 2022, she's been introducing a classical civilization GCSE and is working towards lessons for Year 9, meaning Cassidy will have made classics available on the curriculum for all pupils from Year 7 to 11. Well done. And having employed a new teacher to meet the demand of the blossoming classics department, Cassidy now has one eye on classical civilization in the coming years. Well done, Cassidy. Lots of hard work going on there.
Oh, hi, thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you to Paul Grigsby. I would not have been able to do any of this without him. I think his training and his funding and popping along whenever we need him to has been instrumental in our success. Especially he dropped a whole set of virtual reality headsets off for us to use for our Year 6 day, so they very much enjoyed that as well. I think Class 6 supports our ethos as a school, building brighter futures, to kind of remove the elitist stigma that's kind of surrounding Class 6. And I think what you'll see if anybody ever comes is kids have gone from why we're learning Class 6 to yes, Class 6, which is all I really wanted. And it's really been really well supported across curricular links. So for example, I've stolen part of the English curriculum and put mythology in there, and I've stolen part of the history curriculum and put the ancient world in there, so just to see that they know the impact, and very much like the previous school said, how it's essentially the history of humanity, and it very much represents the diversity of our students. If we look at how it's not just simply Western civilization, but all civilization has been impacted at some point by Class 6. And yes, the success has been seen through the Key Stage 3, the implementation of classical civilization in Key Stage 4, a Latin OCR level 1 course in addition to that, and then eventually the aim is to get it into Key Stage 5 and get them off to university. So yes, thank you so much.
Amen. Wonderful. Lots and lots of work going on there. Thank you. And our final award brings us to Whitefriars School, which is part of the London and South East network. And this brings us also to a slightly different award tonight. This is the Chris Pilcher Award. In May, we were incredibly sorry to hear of the tragic passing of Chris Pilcher, a passionate and dedicated teacher at Sir Frederick Gibbard College in Harlow, Essex. Chris worked closely with our London and South East network coordinator, Annabelle, to bring Latin and classics to his pupils, and his parents chose Classics for All as his chosen charity for donations in his memory. Chris was a thoughtful and enthusiastic teacher who cared about wanting to do the best for his students. He had that special spark which makes the difference between a good teacher and a great teacher. He clearly loved his subject and he loved teaching. To honour his memory, the Chris Pilcher Award will be awarded to one school each year in special recognition of outstanding accomplishment in bringing classics to young people in state schools, an endeavour to which Chris was among the most committed and successful. This year, the inaugural Chris Pilcher Award goes to Whitefriars School in Harrow. Whitefriars embarked on their classics journey in September 2020, helmed by Aliki Drakopoulos, who introduced a hybrid Latin and classical civilization course to 450 pupils across years 7, 8 and 9. The course went down a storm. So well, in fact, in September 2021, Aliki also launched both GCSE and A-level classical civilization. After just 1 year of trialling classics on the curriculum, Aliki has carved out the opportunity for pupils to study the ancient world all through to exam level. What an astonishing achievement. It is fantastic to see how quickly the subject has grown at the school and how eager the students are for their classical education. Well done, Aliki.
Thank you so much, Lydia. I'm actually kind of a bit, thank you for that talk as well. We're really honoured to get the Chris Pilcher Award. As you can probably tell from my voice, I'm getting a bit emotional, but thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We've worked really hard at Whitefriars School, particularly because we're a low social economic area in London. Our kids come from so many different backgrounds, but I also think that's why they've loved it so much, because they can link it into what their cultures and what they love about their society. So it's really been amazing. We've loved every bit of it. I guess I'd like to tell you a bit about what my background is. So I'm an MFL teacher, which is why I realized that Latin is so important to teach, to help with Spanish and French and a lot of other languages out there. And then you said my name very well, Lydia. I'm a Greek, so mythology has been part of my upbringing. So one day I just decided to do a Greek mythology club, realized that it was oversubscribed, and I thought there's something here. And that's when I realized that. And then I researched and came across Classics for All, and you guys have been absolutely amazing. And Annabelle has been so good in supporting us, and everything you've done for us has just been, I can't put it into words. We're so privileged. Yeah, so that's why we've started Classics at our school, and we can't wait to get bigger. We've got so much more to do, and our kids absolutely love it. So thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you, Aliki. It's really inspiring to hear how successful you've been, and we really hope that forms a model for other schools that we hope to help in the future. Thank you. Right, that brings me to the end of the awards for primary and secondary. I'm going to hand back over to Jimmy.
Thank you very much, Lydia. And I don't know about you, but I found those acceptance speeches, especially that last one, very moving. And especially the award for Chris, whose memory will be obviously observed and remembered in that very special award. And if his parents are watching, we send you our best wishes. I got involved with Classics for All a few years ago, and I stumbled into being its chairman, and they seem to be getting along fine, despite that fact. And I realised that I get much more out of my engagement with Classics for All than I give to it. And it's evenings like this where I see the people who are out there at the sharp end delivering on our mission, which is, as you know, is to, no matter what your socioeconomic circumstances are, if you're a young person and you want to get involved with classics, then we want to be there delivering it to you in a very precise and focused way, and a very enjoyable way. And that's what came through to me in these speeches, was the lack of cynicism, the enthusiasm. If I could bottle the enthusiasm in those speeches tonight and sell it, I'd probably make quite a bit of money. So if you're an old friend and you've tuned in, then thank you. It's been great having your support over the years. You do know that you are the wind beneath our wings. We couldn't do what we do here tonight. You've seen what we do, and we couldn't do it without your help. And if you're a new friend, then welcome. And I hope you formed a positive opinion of the work of Classics for All and what our mission is. But before I go, I just want to say a kind of valediction, a sort of Awe Akbawale to Jules Mann, who a lot of you will know as our executive director, who stepped down this year after many years, over 10 years of brilliant service. And she's gone off for a well-deserved rest. She's probably not tuned in. She's probably on a beach somewhere, and I don't blame her. And Hilary Hodgson, who's our genius program director, has in fact now stepped into that role, and she will be spearheading our work over the next stage of our exciting journey as we endeavour to get into schools across the country, as many as we can, and into many people. I was very touched by one of the speeches that said about the humanity of learning classics. You know, I was reminded of a quote when I was a kid. I read Terence, the dramatist, and his quote was, which I probably will forget, is something along the lines, I've written it down somewhere: Homo sum humani nihil a me alienum puto. I am human, and I think nothing human is alien to me. And it made sense that I was reading classics, and I was reading history, I was reading languages, I was reading philosophy, I was reading psychology, I was reading about murder, I was reading about all kinds of things. And it was such an exciting door through which to walk. And that's what we want to give our young people. So if you're new, and if you're not new, please jump onto our website, find out what's coming up this coming year. We've got a whole raft of exciting online events, live events. We're going to try and obviously raise as much funds as we can. So anything you can give to us to keep our work going with these fantastic people. Don't let anybody tell you that Classics is full of fusty old men who look like me. The modern face of Classics is fantastic. It's young, it's vibrant, it's diverse, it speaks from different parts of the country. So please get on board our bus, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.